Good morning, Hypatia, and I really hope that today will restore some tranquility in your world. I wish I'd been around yesterday a bit more. Sorry that I wasn't. I hope things develop their own sense of equilibrium and that you are able to glide through your day as elegantly as you normally do. It's ages since I read anything for you. I'm really sorry. I've been very distracted by other nice things, actually, really nice things, and I've been having a wonderful few days. But I want to get back on track for both of our benefits. And as if to kick that aspiration firmly into touch, before I can even start reading anything that will mean anything to you, I've left them all in the other room, and you know my domestic arrangements mean that I can't currently get in there because it's 6:15 in the morning here. More civilized where you are, I think. So the only thing that I have to hand here, which could conceivably be relevant, is a wonderful book called lovely title, called The Bastard of Istanbul by Elif Shafak. And you may know this book. Somebody really nice sent it to me, and I hope you won't mind if I deviate yet again from our chosen reading to do a few pages of this, because I haven't actually read much of it yet at all. So I'll start right at the beginning and see what I think, and I hope it'll be a wonderful new experience for me. I'm sure it will, because it looks absolutely fascinating. Yeah, I will just get on and read you some of the start of it. The Bastard of Istanbul by Elif Shafak. And there's a little epigraph. I think the word is epigraph, I'm not sure, I'll have to check that. I think Epigraph. I think that means a little inscription or a little quotation before a story. I'll check that. Once there was, once there wasn't. God's creatures were as plentiful as grains, and talking too much was a sin. And Shafak says that this is the preamble to a Turkish tale and to an Armenian one. So I don't know if this is going to delve much into the relationship between Turkey and Armenia, the vexed relationship between Turkey and Armenia. I don't think. Yes. Well, I just read the back, and it is going to be about Armenian Turco relationships. So that's bound to be fascinating. Chapter 1. Cinnamon. It's a good title for a chapter. That's nearly as good as pomegranate. Maybe there'll be one called pomegranate later on. Okay. Whatever falls from the sky above, thou shalt not curse it. That includes the rain. No matter what might pour down, no matter how heavy the cloudburst or how icy the sleet, you should never, ever utter profanities against whatever the heavens may have in store for us. Everybody knows this, and that includes Zeliha. Yet there she was, on this first Friday of July, walking on a sidewalk that flowed next to the hopelessly clogged traffic, rushing to an appointment she was now late for, swearing like a trooper, hissing one profanity after another at the broken pavement stones, at her high heels, at the man stalking her, at each and every driver who honked frantically, when it was an urban fact that clamour had no effect on unclogging traffic, at the whole Ottoman dynasty for once upon a time conquering the city of Constantinople, and then sticking by its mistake, and yes, at the rain, this damn summer rain. Rain is an agony here. In other parts of the world, a downpour will in all likelihood come as a boon for nearly everyone and everything. Good for the crops, good for the fauna and for the flora, and with an extra splash of romanticism, good for lovers. Not so in Istanbul, though. Rain is, for us, necessarily about getting wet. It's not about getting dirty, even. Sorry, I made a mistake there. Rain, for us, isn't necessarily about getting wet. It's not about getting dirty, even. If anything, it's about getting angry. It's mud and chaos and rage, as if we didn't have enough of each already. And struggle. It's always about struggle. Like kittens thrown into a bucketful of water, all 10 million of us put up a futile fight against the drops. It can't be said that we are completely alone in this scuffle, for the streets too are in on it, with their antediluvian names stenciled on tin placards, and the tombstone of so many saints scattered in all directions. The piles of garbage that wait on almost every corner, the hideously huge construction pits, soon to be turned into glitzy modern buildings, and the seagulls. It angers us all when the sky opens and spits on our heads. But then, as the final drops reach the ground, and many more perch unsteadily on the now dustless leaves, at that unprotected moment, when you are not quite sure that it has finally ceased raining, and neither is the rain itself, in that very interstice, everything becomes serene. For one long minute, the sky seems to apologize for the mess she has left us in, and we, with driblets still in our hair, slush in our cuffs, and dreariness in our gaze, stare back at the sky, now a lighter shade of cerulean, and clearer than ever. We look up, and we can't help smiling back. We forgive her. We always do. At that moment, however, it was still pouring, and Zeliha had little, if any, forgiveness in her heart. She did not have an umbrella, for she had promised herself that if she was enough of an imbecile to throw a bunch of money to yet another street vendor for yet another umbrella, only to forget it here and there as soon as the sun came back, then she deserved to be soaked to the bone. Besides, it was too late now anyhow. She was already sopping wet. That was the one thing about the rain that likened it to sorrow. You did your best to remain untouched, safe and dry. But if and when you failed, there came a point in which you started seeing the problem less in terms of drops than as an incessant gush. And thereby, you decide that you might as well get drenched. Rain dripped from her dark curls onto her broad shoulders. Like all the women in the Kazanchi family, Zeliha had been born with frizzy raven black hair. But unlike the others, she liked to keep it that way. From time to time, her eyes of jade green, normally wide open and filled with fiery intelligence, squinted into two lines of untainted indifference, inherent only to three groups of people: the hopelessly naive, the hopelessly withdrawn, and the hopelessly full of hope. She being none of these, it was hard to make sense of this indifference, even if it was such a flickering one. One minute it was here, canopying her soul to drugged insensibility. The next minute it was gone, leaving her alone in her body. Thus she felt on that first Friday of July, desensitized, as if anesthetized. A powerfully corrosive mood for someone so zestful as she. Could this be why she had absolutely no interest in fighting the city today, or the rain for that matter? While the yo-yo indifference went up and down with a rhythm all of its own, the pendulum of her mood swayed between two opposite poles, from frozen to fuming. And if you don't mind, I will leave that there, because that is brilliant. It's really brilliant. I hadn't read that before, and I like the style a lot. I like there's a mischievous there, isn't a mischievousness, isn't there? It's sounds like there's going to be a lot of sparkle in that novel, and with that character. I really, really can't wait to read that properly all the way through. And as with everything else we've looked at, we must try. I must try, not you. I must try to develop some kind of normal and stable timetable for doing these. I can't just keep picking things up and reading them randomly to you. And I'm speaking far too quickly. I'm so sorry. I think I need to visit outer space. Right. Lovely to do that again. Really, really nice. Please don't be afraid to remind me if you want one. And if there's anything special that you come across in any of your reading, it would be a complete pleasure. Have a smashing day. Splendid. And let's be in touch whenever. Bye bye.